My husband stole $42,000 from me to fund his ex's business. And I didn't just confront him, I made sure the whole room heard every word of it. Before I tell you how it happened, tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories reach. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now let's begin. My name's Lena, I'm 32, and I thought I had the kind of marriage people envied. Grant and I met at a charity event. He was charming, thoughtful, and made me feel like the luckiest woman alive. For 3 years, I believed we were building something real. We talked about buying a house near the water, late-night coffee runs, and growing old together. Every extra dollar I earned went straight into our shared savings, the one we called our Dream Home Fund. Everything seemed fine until one quiet Sunday morning when I logged in to check our balance. The number hit me like a punch. $42,000. Gone. I stared at the screen, refreshing it again and again, praying it was some kind of glitch. My heart raced. I texted Grant, but he brushed it off, saying he'd move some things around for investments. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But then came the phone call. It was late, past midnight, and I heard his voice from the kitchen, low and tense. I couldn't make out the words, just a soft, "I promise I'll fix it." When I asked who he was talking to, he said it was work. Something in his eyes told me that was a lie. A few days later, while cleaning out his car, I found a small white envelope shoved under the seat. Inside was a receipt from a jewelry store, dated the same week the money disappeared. A diamond bracelet worth thousands. My birthday had already passed, and I hadn't received anything like that. My stomach dropped. That was the moment everything shifted. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. Something dark was hiding behind his perfect smile. I didn't know the full story yet, but I swore I'd find it. And when I did, I'd make sure everyone saw who he really was. Everyone thought Grant and I had the kind of marriage people dreamed about. We looked happy, we smiled in photos, and our friends always said we were couple goals. But behind that image, things were changing. Grant wasn't the same man I had married. He started coming home late, claiming he had extra meetings or last-minute work calls. He kept his phone close, even in the shower, and suddenly began locking his laptop with new passwords. I tried to ignore it at first. I told myself he was stressed, that maybe his job was weighing on him again. I'd seen him go through tough times before. When we first married, he was struggling financially, and I helped him through it. I paid off some of his debts, covered his mom's medical bills, and never once complained. I believed marriage was about supporting each other, but lately, it felt like I was the only one trying. Then came the name that changed everything, Mara. He mentioned her casually one evening, saying she needed his advice for a new business idea. I knew who she was, his ex-fiancée. The woman he almost married before me. My chest tightened the moment I heard her name, but I kept my face neutral. I didn't want to seem jealous or controlling. He assured me it was nothing serious, just helping an old friend. But deep down, something didn't feel right. From then on, he was always on his phone, smiling at messages he didn't explain. If I walked into the room, he'd quickly put it down. He began making plans without telling me, leaving early for meetings that never made sense. When I asked who he was meeting, he'd get defensive, saying I was being too suspicious. That word stung, because all I ever did was trust him. The warmth between us slowly faded. Our dinners turned quiet, our laughter disappeared. I could feel a wall growing between us, built from secrets I didn't understand. I didn't have proof yet, but my instincts screamed that he was hiding something, and that Mara's sudden return wasn't just coincidence. Something deeper was happening, and I was determined to uncover what he wasn't telling me. One evening, I sat at my desk with a cup of tea, ready to transfer the money for our house deposit. I had waited for that moment for years, carefully saving every bonus and extra paycheck. When I logged into the account, I froze. The balance didn't look right. I blinked, checked again, and my heart began to race. Almost half of our savings was missing, $42,000 gone without a trace. At first, I thought it was a system error. I called the bank, my hands shaking as I read out the account number. The representative was calm as she confirmed several withdrawals made under Grant's name. My stomach turned cold. He had done it himself. I sat there in silence, listening to her list the dates, each one during the same weeks he had been acting secretive. That night, I waited for him to come home. When he walked in, I tried to stay calm and asked him directly about the missing money. His expression changed in an instant. He didn't look surprised, just annoyed that I found out. He said it was for an investment, something that would benefit us in the long run. But when I asked for details, what company, what plan, he hesitated. His eyes darted away, and his voice shook just slightly. That tiny crack told me everything I needed to know. He tried to sound confident, talking about stocks and business opportunities, but his words felt empty. I asked to see documents or even an email. He grew frustrated, saying I didn't trust him enough. That line hit hard because I had trusted him more than anyone. I had shared everything with him, my savings, my plans, my heart, and he used it against me. When he went to bed, I sat alone on the couch, staring at the dim light from my laptop screen. I replayed every conversation, every excuse he had made in the last few weeks. It all lined up too perfectly. The late nights, the secret messages, the new passwords. My mind kept circling back to one person, Mara. I didn't have proof yet, but I could feel the truth pressing against my chest. Something told me that the missing money wasn't lost. It was given to her. After that night, I couldn't rest. I needed answers. Grant's explanations never made sense, so I started looking for them myself. I went through old receipts, bank alerts, and anything that seemed off. One morning, while checking my email statements, I noticed a large transfer I hadn't seen before. The name on it froze me, Mara's Boutique. My hands went cold. He hadn't invested the money. He had sent it straight to her. My chest felt tight as I stared at the screen. I wanted to believe there was some other reason, maybe a business partnership or a mistake, but the dates matched perfectly with the missing amount. My curiosity pushed me further. I called the jewelry store listed on one of the earlier receipts I'd found. The woman on the phone confirmed that a diamond bracelet worth thousands had been purchased under Grant's name. When I asked if it had been picked up, she said yes, by a woman named Mara. My heart sank so fast I could barely speak. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was betrayal. The money I had worked for, the dreams we had built together, had all gone to his ex. I sat on the floor, holding my phone, trying to breathe through the shaking. I had imagined us building a home, not funding another woman's luxury store. The pain was sharp, but under it, something else began to grow, anger. For days, I acted normal around him. I smiled when he talked and asked how work was going. He didn't notice that I had already found everything. I wanted him to feel safe, to believe I still trusted him. Inside, I was planning my next move. I started saving copies of every record, bank transfers, messages, receipts. I needed proof that couldn't be denied. Each piece of evidence made me stronger. The sadness slowly turned into focus. He thought I'd never find out, that I'd stay quiet and forgive him like before. But not this time. He had crossed a line that couldn't be fixed. I wasn't just going to confront him privately. I wanted the truth to be seen by everyone who thought he was perfect. I was done crying. Now it was my turn to act. After learning the truth, I stopped letting my emotions control me. I didn't cry or yell. I smiled like nothing was wrong. Grant had no idea that every word, every move was part of my plan. I knew if I wanted real justice, I had to be smart. Acting calm was the only way to catch him off guard. I started collecting everything I could find, screenshots of bank transfers, receipts from the jewelry store, even the messages he tried to delete. I made sure every detail was backed up on a hidden drive. My best friend Danny was the only person I told. When I showed her the proof, her eyes widened. She didn't try to comfort me, she just said, "Let's make him regret it." That was exactly what I needed to hear. Together, we began to plan. I didn't want to just confront him in private. I wanted him to face what he'd done where he couldn't lie or twist the story. That's when the idea came to me, a dinner. A fancy one. The kind he loved showing off at. I told Grant I wanted to celebrate a big promotion at work, something worth a special night out. His face lit up, completely unaware that he was walking into his own exposure. I asked him to invite Mara too, saying she had helped him during stressful times and that I wanted to thank her as well. He didn't even hesitate. He smiled and said she'd be thrilled to come. That fake confidence almost made me laugh. Danny helped me with every detail, the guest list, the setting, even where we'd sit. My brother Eli agreed to be there, pretending it was a family dinner. He didn't know the full plan yet, just that I needed his support in case things went wrong. As the night approached, I stayed perfectly composed. Grant kept talking about what he'd wear, how proud he was of me. I nodded, hiding the storm building inside me. He thought I was celebrating my success. In reality, I was preparing for his downfall. Every lie he told, every dollar he took, was about to catch up with him. And he wouldn't even see it coming. The night of the dinner finally arrived. I booked one of the nicest restaurants in the city, the kind with soft music, golden lights, and staff who made everything look effortless. The place smelled of fresh flowers and expensive wine. I sat there early, pretending to scroll on my phone while my heart raced so fast I could hear it. Everything had to look normal. Grant walked in first, wearing his best suit, smiling like a man who had no worries in the world. Right behind him came Mara, in a shimmering dress, holding a gift bag like she was doing me a favor by showing up. I greeted them warmly, my voice calm though my chest felt tight. I told them how happy I was to have both of them there to celebrate an important night. They believed every word. Danny and Eli were already seated, acting casual, keeping conversation light. We talked about work, travel plans, and meaningless things. Grant kept his hand on mine across the table, pretending to be the perfect husband. Each time he smiled, it only reminded me how easily he could lie. Mara laughed too loudly at his jokes, and I could barely stand to look at her without giving myself away. Dinner went on smoothly. The servers moved around with plates of steak and wine, filling glasses and lighting new candles. I waited for the right moment. When the champagne arrived, Grant leaned close and whispered how proud he was of me. That was almost enough to make me laugh. I stood up slowly, holding my glass, and smiled at everyone. I said how thankful I was for love, loyalty, and trust. My voice stayed calm, though my hands trembled beneath the tablecloth. I looked directly at Grant, then at Mara. Both smiled back, completely unaware. The table clapped politely as I finished my toast. Then I took a breath and said softly, "But trust only matters when it's real." The air shifted. Grant's grin faltered just a little. The waiter stepped back, sensing the tension. My pulse slowed as I prepared for what came next. For everyone else, it was a celebration dinner. For me, it was the beginning of the truth. The air in the restaurant felt thick, almost heavy, as I reached into my bag. Grant looked at me with pride still written across his face, thinking I was about to share something sweet or emotional. I smiled back, calm and polite, then connected my phone to the small screen behind our table. "I prepared a short presentation," I said softly, "something special to show my appreciation." The guests nearby turned their heads with interest. The screen flickered to life, showing the first image, a screenshot of our joint bank account. My pulse raced, but I kept my voice steady. "These numbers," I said, "show how much trust can cost when it's placed in the wrong hands." Grant's smile faded instantly. Mara stiffened in her seat, pretending to sip her drink. I clicked again, and the next image appeared, a wire transfer receipt with her boutique's name on it. Gasps echoed from the nearby tables. I could feel every pair of eyes turning toward us. "Here's where the rest went," I continued, each word sharp and deliberate. The next slide showed the jewelry store invoice. The amount was large, and next to it was the name Mara. I heard someone whisper, "Oh my God." Grant reached across the table, his voice low and panicked. "Lena, stop this right now." He tried to grab my phone, but before he could, Eli's hand came down firmly on his shoulder. "Sit down," my brother said quietly, his tone calm but final. Mara's face went pale, her eyes darting between us, looking for a way out. She stammered something about misunderstanding, but the evidence was right there, glowing on the screen for everyone to see. I looked straight at Grant. "You stole my savings," I said evenly. "You lied, and you funded her store with the money we saved for our home." His mouth opened, but no words came out. The silence in the restaurant was deafening. I didn't yell or cry. I simply turned off the screen, set my phone down, and looked at them both one last time. "This dinner was never about celebration," I said quietly. "It was about truth." Then I sat back, letting the weight of their shame fill the room. For a few seconds after the screen went dark, no one spoke. The only sound was the quiet hum of music in the background. Grant's face turned red, and his jaw tightened. He looked around, realizing people were staring. Then he forced a weak laugh and said, "You're misunderstanding everything, Lena. It's not what it looks like." Mara tried to nod along, whispering that the money was just a loan, but her voice cracked halfway through. The calm mask Grant always wore was gone. He started talking fast, saying I was overreacting, that he was only trying to help a friend in need. His words sounded desperate and empty. I leaned back, watching him twist his story. "A friend in need?" I asked quietly. "Is that what you call stealing from your wife?" He went silent, his hands clenching on the table. The guests around us pretended not to stare, but everyone was listening. I didn't raise my voice. I spoke clearly, so every word reached him. You took $42,000 from me. You told me it was for investments, but you sent it to your ex. You lied to me every single day while she wore the bracelet you bought with my money." Mara's eyes dropped to the table, her face pale as snow. Grant tried one last excuse, saying he planned to pay me back, but it was too late. I reached into my purse and placed a white envelope on the table. He frowned, opening it slowly. Inside were the divorce papers, already signed. "I've closed the joint account," I said simply. "You won't touch another dollar of mine." His shoulders slumped as he realized this wasn't just anger. It was final. The restaurant was silent except for the clinking of silverware from a few distant tables. I could feel eyes on us, but I didn't care. For once, I wasn't the woman holding things together. I was the woman ending them. Grant tried to speak again, but nothing came out. He just sat there, stunned, while I finished my drink and stood up. "You built your lies in public," I said softly. "So that's where they ended." Then I walked away, leaving him in the wreckage he created. The next morning, I packed my things without saying a word. The house felt strange, too quiet, too empty of meaning. I looked around at the walls we had once planned to paint together and felt nothing but relief that I was leaving them behind. Every item I placed in a box felt like a piece of my freedom returning. When I finally shut the door behind me, I didn't look back. Eli helped me move into a small apartment across town. It wasn't fancy, but it felt safe. Danny came over that night with takeout and a bottle of wine, saying, "You don't need a mansion when peace is free." We sat on the floor, laughing through the exhaustion. For the first time in months, I felt light. It didn't take long for people to find out what Grant had done. The story spread fast among our friends and his coworkers. No matter how hard he tried to twist it, the truth always caught up. The same people who once praised our perfect marriage now looked at him with pity or disgust. Mara's boutique didn't survive the backlash either. Customers stopped coming, and soon her business shut down. I didn't celebrate their downfall, but I won't lie, it felt like balance. They had built their lies on my trust, and now those lies had destroyed them. I didn't need revenge anymore. Life was already doing that for me. In the weeks that followed, I started focusing on myself again. I went for long walks by the water, cooked meals just for me, and applied for new roles that challenged me. Each day felt like I was rebuilding from the inside out. The pain was still there, but it no longer controlled me. Eli checked on me often, and Danny made sure I didn't slip back into doubt. They reminded me that losing someone dishonest isn't a loss, it's freedom. Slowly, I began to believe that. One night, I looked out from my balcony, watching the city lights reflect on the water. I realized I didn't need closure from him. I already had it. It came the moment I chose myself over the man who betrayed me. Months passed, and life finally started to feel normal again. The chaos was behind me, replaced by quiet mornings, steady work, and a peace I hadn't felt in years. My birthday came around, and instead of avoiding it like before, I decided to celebrate. Danny insisted on taking me out, and Eli joined too. She picked the same restaurant where everything had fallen apart, but this time, I didn't feel nervous walking in. The air smelled the same, warm bread, wine, and soft candles, but everything else felt different. I wasn't the woman who once sat there pretending her life was perfect. I was someone new, stronger, calmer, and finally free. The host led us to a corner table, and I couldn't help but glance at the spot where I had exposed Grant and Mara months ago. It didn't hurt anymore. If anything, it reminded me how far I'd come. The night was full of laughter and real conversation. No lies, no tension, just people who truly cared. Eli teased me for ordering the most expensive dessert, and Danny kept refilling my glass. I looked around and realized I didn't miss my old life at all. Losing Grant hadn't ruined me. It had cleared space for something better, peace. When the waiter brought out a small cake with a single candle, Danny handed me a glass of champagne. "Make a toast," she said with a grin. I stood up, holding the glass high. My voice was steady as I said, "To freedom, to knowing our worth, and to never begging for love that hurts." Everyone clinked glasses, smiling warmly. As I took a sip, I felt a calm satisfaction I couldn't put into words. Not from revenge, but from knowing I didn't need to fight anymore. The truth had done all the work for me. Before leaving, I turned toward the empty space in the corner one last time and smiled softly. If someone ever betrays your trust, I thought, you don't have to destroy them to win. Just let the truth speak. That night, I walked out of the restaurant lighter than ever, ready for a new chapter built on honesty, peace, and self-respect. Do you think I did the right thing by walking away, or should I have forgiven them? Tell me what you think in the comments. I'd really love to know. And if you enjoy stories like mine, don't forget to subscribe.